Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix for the Formula One division here in House of Racing. Welcome to Saudi Arabia, everyone. It's good to be back. How are we all? Hopefully we're all having a great day here on this lovely night here in Saudi Arabia. I'm back. Felix Comms are back. Welcome to the Formula One division. It's Saudi Arabia. You have to sit through this entire thing. Woohoo! How are we all, ladies and gentlemen? Hopefully we are well. Alrighty, thank you to the Saudi Arabian Orchestra for performing that lovely piece. Didn't do so well for the national anthem, but either way, here we are for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, here for qualifying, and we are getting off straight away. We have people like Omar, Chaldinho, Lee, Craig, Zink, Chimp. Majority of the grid is already out of the pit lane and coming in for their quali lap. So Omar coming around to pretty much finish off the second sector, now going into the third, just around that little kink of a corner. DRS activated as he continues through slipstream, and rear wing now fully open and available to the McLaren driver. A quick little bit of warmth into the tyre as he makes his way around the final corner. Can the McLaren do well this quali session? Let's see. DRS now active as he gets underway. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The first quali lap of the session. It goes to the McLaren of Omar into the first corner around the 50-meter braking mark. He does a good job around the apexes of the corner. Doesn't invalidate. So easy to do it around there, but he's done a really splendid job through there. Continuing forward, pedal to the metal, full throttle. Continuing forward now over the apexes, making sure he can get the maximum out of these corners. Doing a really good job through the first sector, about to finish it up. Now what can he do? It is going to be, when we finally reach it, it seems to be extended here, a 32.7 around the first sector for Omar for the time being. Let's go to Tyrant, who's now also on his he's about to start his fast lap any second now, but no, he's coming straight into the pit lane. He must have a qualifying ban for the Aston Martin. So continuing back to Omar then, making his way through the second sector. The McLaren doing a really good job at the moment, just trying to pace himself. DRS active through the high-speed corners of Saudi Arabia, through the second sector, into the braking zone. Make sure not to lock up the car. He's done a really good job there. Purple first and purple second, but do remember that he is the first man to be on a fast lap in this session. DRS for the second last time around another straight. Bends slightly, but overall keeps it in a decent angle. Around the final corner, gets very close to the wall and apex. Pedal to the metal, full throttle. What can Omar do on the first run here in Saudi Arabia? It's a 128.9, and that is the benchmark time for the rest of the field to set. Let's go to Wizzy Boy, who's about to set the to go over the line to start his fast lap, but let's also continue to see the rest of the field. I think Shocker is on a fast lap at the moment, so what can the Alfa Romeo driver set? It is a 130.106. It's only good enough for P3, but then the Red Bull of Gabby really getting just a bit closer, 129.3, but then Chimp sneaks in a better time with a 129.1, 2/10 quicker than Gabby on that occasion. But Omar still leads with the provisional pole time of a 128.9, and what a time it was. Zinc really struggling, it seems, with a 140.1. Must have made a mistake somewhere along the lap, but at least he didn't invalidate, so it's at least a time on the board. Lee Craig into the pit lane. What about Seb? Seb, being one of the top drivers this season, currently leads the World Championship as we speak. Seb continuing through the second sector, and it's purple in the second sector. So the Ferrari really starting to put down some benchmark times here. Can the Ferrari stick it on provisional pole and take away the benchmark that Omar set in the McLaren around the final corner? Can the Ferrari go on provisional pole? DRS active. What can the Scuderia do? No, it's back to the pit lane. And I must have made a mistake along the way. I wasn't aware of the time that was up there. Wizzy Boy, with DRS, we know he first came across the line. What is he going to do? It's a 128.4, and it is provisional pole for the Aston Martin. Wizzy Boy getting a really nice lap in there, and I mean 5/10 quicker than the McLaren. Has a little spin there, a little half donut to celebrate. Definitely nothing else at that time. Chimp comes into the pit lane. Chaldinho currently making his way through the second sector, currently on a 129.5. I don't know if he's going to be coming into the pit lane or if he's pushing for another lap. We'll come back to him. Zinc comes back into the pit lane. What about Jenga Boy in the Alfa Romeo? Unfortunately, he has invalidated on that occasion. Let's go back to Chaldinho around the final corner. Is he going to continue to push, or is it back to the pit lane for the McLaren driver? It is back to the pit lane. I'm going to be wondering if that's going to be similar for the Alfa Romeo of Jenga Boy, or if he's going to save his ERS, as you can see, with that 100% battery. And is he going to go once again? Obviously, Jenga Boy has a decent bit of pace on him. Josh can set a decent lap time. He can get wins. We've seen it before. So can he do it tonight here around Saudi Arabia? It looks like he's pushing one more time, hopefully this time on the actual board. DRS active, rear wing fully open for the Alfa Romeo, and Slipstream continues down the main straight into the first corner, right over the apex. Does a really good job there. Now continuing forward, full throttle, pedal to the metal, getting a really good exit there. And Jenga Boy, you can tell he's pushing. He hits the barrier. He's not out, and he may have some damage, but he is able to continue with his lap. Is he going to? It looks like he is. ERS still on, and he's still pushing with that throttle. Unlucky on that occasion, but Jenga Boy not fazed by it, by the looks of it. Purple in the first, nonetheless, with a 32.801, and Wizzy Boy, who has a benchmark time of a 128.415, may be beaten out by Jenga Boy in the Alfa Romeo, continuing through the second sector, continuing to go over the apexes, trying to maximize the absolute benefit of the Saudi Arabian circuit. DRS active, Slipstream at its absolute optimum. What can the Alfa Romeo do? Misses the apex on the exit there. Overall, doesn't get too affected by it. DRS once again exit on the start of the straight. My apologies. Jenga Boy making his way to the final corner now, into the braking zone around the 50-meter mark. Gets nice and close to the wall and apex. DRS less than 100 meters away, now open with the rear wing. What can Jenga Boy do? It's a 129.1. It's only good enough for P3, and that keeps Wizzy Boy in P1 and Omar in P2. Unfortunate for Josh, who couldn't get the time he wanted. Gabby unfortunately invalidated on his last time, but this time the Red Bull back on his fast lap, has 89% battery, so he has definitely got the margin to push. Does he have the fuel? Unaware, but he's gonna push either way, so I'm guessing he does. Gabby into the corner there, gets right over the apex, maximizing the circuit right close to the wall. Does a decent job. Red Bull trying to get some decent points on the board for constructors here. Once again right over the apex, but maximizes the circuit without going over it, which is a big thing that people need to remember around the Saudi Arabian circuit of Jeddah. The Red Bull doing a really good job cornering, looking very clean. The downforce at its absolute prime, but it's still got its top speed there into the 50-meter mark, continuing forward into the exit of the corner. I mean, the Red Bull's doing a great job at the moment. Looks like he's still pushing a bit of lag, but overall not too bad. DRS active as he goes through the second sector, and the Red Bull seems to not be setting purples, but at least benefiting and improving on his previous time. DRS once again active for the Red Bull driver. He hasn't had the lap that he's wanted, but he's going to get a decent lap nonetheless. Is he going to come to the pit lane, or is he going to finalize this lap that he's currently on around the final corner? Apex is decent. What is Gabby going to do? It's looking like it's back to the pit lane for the Red Bull driver, and called it from a mile away, and that will mean that his best time so far is a 1:29.313, as many particles worth of styrofoam go all over the place. Let's go to Chesney Riz, who is a Formula 2 Ferrari driver, but here in Formula 1 here for Saudi Arabia, he will reserve in the seat of Mercedes, currently going through the second sector with DRS wide open on his rear wing. And you know what, Chesney Riz is really starting to set some laps alight. F1 SLK with a 1:28.081, a man in complete disguise. And we also have to be aware of Seb as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this got interesting. Let's go back to Chesney Riz around the final corner. What can the Mercedes set? Can he beat the 1:28.0 flat deadline? No, it's a 1:28.8, and it's only good enough for P3, but that's still a decent position. Let's move down to the P16 position of Seb Goncalves. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but here we go around that corner. It's only 1:28.6, and he's 6/10 down on the AlphaTauri of F1 SLK. And the Ferrari has a bit of work to do as Cialdini sneaks it into P2 with a 1:28.413, still 4/10 off the AlphaTauri. Lee Craig in the Williams, currently P13, currently going through the first sector. Yellow flags surround him as drivers get out of the way for the Williams, and for the Haas, I think just out in front. Overall room being made. Decent qualifying session so far. Hasn't been boring, that's for sure, and the Williams is going to continue this through now. Exit of the corner, but look at the fuel left on that Williams. He may not be able to complete this lap. It is, however, his first run, so I'm wondering if he may have underfueled, maybe just too much, and will now not be able to reap the benefits that have been able to show, and it looks like it. He's not able to go 300 kilometers, and Lee Craig has left the session. Interesting. It's your boy Alfie in the Alpine, currently going through the first sector, 33.101. He's a little bit down on the time from the best. I think the best is a 32.6, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, the Alpine continuing through to the start of Sector 2, into the apex of the corner, going to continue through into the S's, and now, unfortunately, it's your boy Alfie, your Formula 2 champion from Season 1, losing the rear, and the Alpine couldn't maximize it on that occasion. What about Tyron and the Aston Martin? He's unfortunately invalidated. He's got 65% battery. Looks like he turned it off to go once again. DRS active, 4 AM. What can he do? No, he's going to come back into the pit lane, and maybe a smarter decision by Aston Gabby, about to start his fast lap, his, if I'm not wrong, third fast lap. He's letting drivers by, making sure not to get in the way, and as he's now going to round off the final corner, can Gabby improve on his current position in P10? He drives for Ferrari in F2. He couldn't compete in the rest of the season, but he can compete in F1. Here on Sunday, Gabby starts his next lap into the first corner. Overall decent apex, not too bad from the Red Bull. Continuing forward, gets nice and close to the walls, and the Red Bull looking to improve on his current time that season in P10. Doing a decent job, continuing to carry as much speed as physically possible, and doing a pretty decent job. He also needs to be aware overturning the car. Putting too much throttle on could ruin this lap. It could see him spin. It could see him, unfortunately, not getting the lap he wanted, and potentially out of the session overall. But overall, we don't have to worry about that, because the Red Bull is doing a great job so far. Does improve by around 300ths, but not best of them all. Just personally, Either way, continuing through to the second sector through the S's, and DRS should be active right about now. Rear wing nice and open for the Red Bull driver, also known as the 3 DRSs, with how the downforce is set. Purple in the second sector, and purple becomes red as he invalidates for a second time running, and that is unfortunate scenes from the Romanian driver. Jenga Boy, or Josh, however you want to call him, currently going through the second sector, and him looking to improve much more than other drivers. He doesn't go purple going into the third sector, so he has it all to do in this last sector of racing. Gabby, as you can see, backing out of it because he invalidated around the final corner. Can the Alfa Romeo improve from his current position in P10? He's got DRS, he's got the slipstream, his rear wing is fully open. Jenga Boy with a 128.3, it sees him P2, and that's a massive improvement and a great lap done by Joshua. Very well deserved. F1 SLK may have something up his sleeves though. The AlphaTauri may want to go into the 127s as DRS is active, a whole battery worth of ERS. The AlphaTauri begins his next fast lap, 2 minutes 38 left in the session around the final corner. So first corner, my apologies, decent apexes just like all the drivers it seems around the first area of the circuit. F1 SLK doing a pretty good job at this time being. Back, microphone just had a little mishap, but we are back now. The AlphaTauri continuing through the first sector, making sure he can get the maximum out of this, looking to improve on what is already pole. And you know what? He's improving by 500. It's not a big margin, but he's improving. And if he can improve enough, he's going to move himself into the 127s. And this could be crucial for the race. If he can set a lap time so fast that no one can compete. Wait, the AlphaTauri making his way through, isn't cornering. He's making the absolute most of every single part of this track. Gets a good exit. He's nearly out of fuel. You know he's trying to push as hard as he can. The AlphaTauri currently going around the final corner. Can he maximize it? It's a decent apex. It looks like a decent exit. The AlphaTauri, DRS active. What can F1 SLK do? It's a 127.9, and yes indeed, he's into the 127s, not by a big margin, but he's done it. And the AlphaTauri really trying to secure pole position and doing it by a big margin. Zinc in the Haas goes unnoticed as he sets a 128.2, pushing Josh into the P3 position with a 128.3. These are close though. Look how close it is between Jenga Boy and Zinc. Only 300ths of a second. These are incredibly close margins. Omar retires from the session. It seems he did it out on track, hit the wall through the tight area, almost like a chicane-esque type of corner. Jenga Boy has a lot to do if he wants provisional pole. Even an improvement is a lot to do. The Alfa Romeo cannot break under pressure. He has to keep it cool. He has to keep it clean. And the Alfa Romeo has to get it done. Right now, continuing forward, full throttle, pedal to the metal. He's 2/10 down. He's not even improved on his own time. He's gone red in the first sector. Can the Alfa Romeo improve anywhere else where he needs to? 3 seconds left on the clock. These are the final times that people will get to set. Unfortunately, Cialdino and the McLaren potentially loses a lot of time, and it seems Wizzy Boy doing something similar as he has to just completely cut that corner. A lot of people making the mistake there. Lee Craig, 1 lap old tires, same as Chimp and Chesney Riz. All these drivers still trying to set a fast lap, and we'll come back to them. Let's go back to Josh. Seb moves up into the 127.9 as well. Oh my god, he's 1,000th off. Seb is not on pole by 1,000th. Can Josh improve? It looks like he's coming back into the pit lane. It looks pretty decent for F1 SLK. What can Cialdino do in the McLaren? What can Hazy do in the McLaren? Around the final corner. I have never seen a margin so close in my life. McLaren, he has everything to do. DRS around the final corner. Can Stella, it is good to see you. He hits it. Cialdino retires on the line. He doesn't improve with a 128.413. Lee Craig slows down. Chimp seems to still be pushing for a new margin. Does he even have a front wing? No, he doesn't, so I don't expect him to improve. Gabby seems to still be pushing, but he's invalidated. That's it for the Red Bull, and that is it for qualifying, ladies and gentlemen. It seems Lee Craig can still push, but it's over. He's going slow, and that sees F1 SLK by 1,000th. Ladies and gentlemen, not 1/10th, not 100th, not even 1100ths. 1,000th of a second. Seb misses out by pole. F1 SLK secures it. And when we say every single last corner, every single last edge of the track counts, we meant it. 1,000th separates Seb and F1 SLK. That is the difference. Oh, I have never seen margins that close in my life, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my days. Right. Constella says we all know Seb will get the launch of his life now in the Twitch chat. And you know what? You could be very much right. So it's F1 SLK, P1, Seb missing out by P1 by 1,000th of a second in the Ferrari. P3 securing that third and final just important podium position is Zinc with a 128.23 tenths down, and it kind of shows you the difference in pace this season compared to first. And now it's time to head to the race. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to announce, Ryan will be joining me for co-commentary. Unfortunately, he had to go eat dinner and he is not available at this second, but hopefully a couple laps into the race he will be well and truly here and ready to talk and ready to chat and ready to talk about all the action unfolding in the race. That drink is well deserved. So close margins, close fighting, and tense racing. It is time for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It is time for the race. Hopefully with no bugs, hopefully with no issues, and it's time for some exciting action ahead of us. As you can see, the pit crew's doing their famous T-poses across the entire grid walk. As you can see, they're getting the stretches in, they're getting their poses in, they're getting ready for the final 5 red lights, and we don't have to wait long, only 14 seconds remaining. Getting my final drink in. 5 seconds now on the clock. 4, 3, 2, 1. Strategies are set. Everyone is in their positions. We will then, eventually, when time comes, head to the grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. The lights go out, and it's pedal to the metal for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It's a bad getaway from F1 SLK. Seb is already up into P1, and the qualifying dispute is already out of the window. Zinc temporarily makes it into P2, and it looks like he's going to get a better outside line here. He backs out of it, and that's F1 SLK back into P2. It's a good getaway from Seb, who's now in the Scuderia Ferrari up into P1. Very much well deserved by Seb. Holy moly, what a start to the Grand Prix. Cialdino in P4, he gets away solidly, doesn't get phased, and gets past Jenga Boy, who's now down to P5 in the Alfa Romeo. In P6 in the Aston Martin, looking to try and get a slipstream. Nearly loses the rear there, but keeps it clean for the most part. Constella's called it in the Twitch chat, and I 100% agree, you did call it, and it was 100% deserved. P7, I'm Dom, who was Aston Martin in F2, fighting the Aston Martin in F1 of Wizzy Boy. He's looking for a slipstream in the Ferrari, looking to try and make up some positions. Nothing can be done for the time being. Let's move back up to the front, where Seb is well and truly leading away with a 1 second gap already, and he must have been pissed off from qualifying, be just 1,000th off, and now making the most of it on the first lap of the Grand Prix. Already decent margins being made here. 9/10 of a gap, 8/10 of a gap on the exit of the final corner, with Seb now pushing away from the rest of the field. Zinc 7/10 down on F1 SLK, but only 4/10, and then 2/10, as you can see. Oh, Shocker! Shocker's binned it. Oh, no, never mind. Never mind, Shocker didn't bin it. Tyrant just came into the pit lane. My bad. It's your boy Alfie binned it. That's who binned it. My apologies for getting the mix-up there. But either way, Chesney Riz getting overtaken by Jono. Let's go back to a 3/10 gap between Jenga Boy and Chaldinho. The gaps are close. There seems to be a mistake by Omar in the McLaren. What's happened here? He's had a spin. It doesn't seem like any damage. He's just lost multiple positions and lost it through the second sector. Unfortunate as he now goes down to P16, as well as I'm Dom, who's down to P15. He's going to get past It's Your Boy Alfie, who now go wheel to wheel, almost playing with each other here. Oh, they're bumping wheels, that's for sure, going through the elevated corner here. But overall, decent driving. No one really gets affected too badly, apart from the fact that Omar has fallen down multiple positions following with I'm Dom. But now, a bit of a three-way fight at the back of the field is starting to show. Let's go back up, where we can see Jenga Boy once again with that 3/10 margin to Chaldinho in the McLaren. Wizzy Boy not that far off either, 5/10 down. It seems the increased slipstream of the Alfa Romeo is going to give a bigger benefit. Omar up in the P14 as I'm Dom falls down to P16. A potential mistake by the Ferrari. But here with the Alfa Romeo, DRS should be active this lap, but we don't need DRS. We don't need a massive amount of slipstream with the rear wing open. He'll do it with ERS and a closed rear wing around the first corner. It's going to be wheel to wheel continuing. Chaldinho still ahead by a small margin. Josh will have to back out of it. He's not going to back out of it. Around the outside, the Alfa Romeo up into P4. Ladies and gentlemen, what great racing we are seeing here. It's your boy Alfie is out of the session. The Alpine hitting the barrier. No, he's actually retired in the pit lane at least. It's yellow flag sector 1 and sector 3, and it seems Josh has had to give position back, maybe because of yellow flags, not 100% sure. Two people come into the pit lane now. As they now come out, they seem to be wheel to wheel. Aston Martin of Wizzy Boy very close to Josh now, as Josh seems to be losing out here. It seems yellow flags have caused people to give back positions as overtakes have been made. Shocker currently moving his way up into P11 as the Williams seems to be really struggling. Jono can't get it together. And that's a spin there. Another yellow flag brought out. Tyrant P15. And that is a virtual safety car, ladies and gentlemen. Virtual safety car deployed with the 2.3 second gap in front. It is Seb who leads the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And it's by a decent margin. Decent start by these drivers. Now VSC doesn't exactly bring the gaps immediately down. It just brings the cars slightly closer together and overall slow down the pack before any debris and rubbish is picked back up. It gives me my opportunity to drink some of my water, and yeah, a lot of people slowing down here. Chaldinho must be struggling with the Delta, has to slow down by a decent margin going through the second corner. It has to force the rest of the pack to slow down, which is also bringing the gaps closer together, to be fair. Still now 1.7 seconds, so a decent bit of time being gained because of VSC. F1 SLK trying to gain back on Seb, but it seems Seb, who was only 1,000ths off in qualifying, doesn't need to worry that much, and safety car has been deployed. Seb has left the session. That leaves his Ghost now in charge, and safety car, it's been upgraded to a safety car. VSC it originally was, but not anymore, and that sees the fact that now everything slows down just a bit more. Hello, Ryan.
Yeah, sorry about a little bit late. I didn't
No
come at the time I wanted
worries.
to. So.
Right. Would you like a little recap so far?
Go on then.
There's a little echo on your mic as well.
Oh, hold on.
Test. I'm not hearing any of my voice anymore, which might be decent. Alrighty. Safety car deployed. So, Ryan, if you can hear me, this is the recap so far. Over only 4 laps of racing, 2 notes. So, virtual safety car was deployed, and then it was immediately upgraded to a safety car. Jono, Omar, and Itchaboy Alfie all out of the session. It seemed Omar and Itchaboy Alfie got into some type of collision, causing debris to be out on track. The Alfa Romeo of Jenga Boy and Chesney Riz now coming into the pit lane. Overall, it was a close margin in qualifying, with Seb only being 1,000th off P1.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's leading now.
I can still hear my voice.
Well, I don't know what I could do about it.
It's fine. If it's something we might just have to deal with.
Alright.
Alrighty, well, Jenga Boy pits, and now down to P10 with Shocker, his teammate, P9 now.
It's probably because I'm really loud.
And maybe.
What about now?
Test. I can hear myself, but it is quieter.
Alright.
Alrighty. So, Seb currently leads the Grand Prix under safety car conditions. F1 SLK, who took provisional pole and pole position, who obviously got it only by 1,000th, got beaten by Zinc and Seb, but Zinc unfortunately lost position into the second corner, so that sees the top 3 being Seb, F1 SLK, and Zinc in the Haas. P4 is the McLaren of Chaldinho, also known as Hazy. P5 in the Aston Martin is Wizzy Boy. P6 in the Alpine is Chimp. P7 is Shadow in the Haas. P8 in the Red Bull is Gabby. P9 is Shocker in the Alfa Romeo, and his teammate Jenga Boy, who came into the pits for some fresh hard compounds, currently sitting in P10. P11 Chesney Riz in the Mercedes. P12 his teammate RTM Tocci. And P13, Lee Craig in the Williams. P14 in the Scuderia Ferrari, I'm Dom. P15, Tyrant in the Aston Martin. So, with the grid now rounded off, we wait for safety car to pretty much come in, and I expect it to be coming in this lap from prior knowledge of how long a safety car normally comes out for. Wizzy Boy in the chat says, this track is madness. I love it. It is a bit of a mad track, and if you go back to 2021 Saudi Arabia in real life, I remember watching that live in horror with how bad the racing was. And as a Max Verstappen fan, I was disappointed in Max, because that was something else.
Absolutely, 21 was absolutely it's insane.
Yeah.
Interesting story. I was in a restaurant whilst watching that race, and I shouted my head off when Verstappen and Hamilton cut what he did.
In my opinion, that was Hamilton's fault, to be fair.
Well, mate, we'll have our own opinions, so we'll stick with that
true.
for now.
True. So, most likely safety car in this lap. Drivers continuing to warm their tyres up left and right as they weave, trying to keep some temperature in. And drivers trying to get an overall idea of what type of, overtakes they can get here on safety car restart. Not much to talk about, as pretty much all penalties, all spins, all crashes sorted out now, and we just have to wait for the red Mercedes of the safety car to be coming in. And it seems Seb waiting for eager driving, and yes, safety car is in this lap, says race control, says the FIA. So let's go on board with Seb here. Let's actually quickly get some quick things up here. Seb goes left and right. He gets the entire pack going left and right. F1 SLK could finally get a bit of fighting happening here and finally potentially sneak back into P1. Seb really delaying when he's gonna go here. Waiting. He's going to go really late here. Scuderia still hasn't gone yet. And he's pulled the trigger, and he's gone now. He's got that accelerator up there. P2 is F1 SLK, but Zinc has got a really good getaway here into the first corner. Inside line is Zinc, now switches to the outside. F1 SLK sneaks back into P2, and it seems to be equal in the top three. Chaldinho also isn't affected, and Chimp still in P5. A bit of crashing at the back of the pack with I'm Dom in the Ferrari, now in P15, and Tyrant joining him in a, seems to be a couple of donuts. Williams currently going through that. Alright. Chaos on safety car restart, but everyone starting to get back into the groove of it. F1 SLK losing a decent amount of time to Seb as we once again get gaps starting to form here. Shadow in the Haas, my apologies, trying to get a slipstream on Chimp in P5, but seems to be too far away for anything to really happen. Plus DRS will not be active for 3 more laps after safety car is away for people to get that rear wing open.
Yeah. Well, I've got to say here, Helix, that Wizzy Boy definitely got the worst of that safety car restart. It dropped down to P7.
Yep,
Chimp and Shadow on their way up the grid.
And Jenga Boy is going to go down the inside of the Speak of the Devil Wizzy Boy, but it seems the outside line by Wizzy Boy is going to get a better exit. ERS active for Josh as he's going to continue to sneak with that slipstream. He's going to take the outside line here. Will the Alfa Romeo think about a move? He's late on the brakes around the outside. Can Josh get it done? Yes, he can, and it's P7 for the Alfa Romeo. Great move by Josh, and the Aston Martin of Wizzy Boy missing out even more as he falls down to P8.
And not so good, looking so good for Wizzy Boy. And Chimp and Shadow were also fighting whilst you were going out along, and Shadow just found himself up into P5. So good point so far. Looking for the Haas team.
Constructors continuing to be a close battle at the moment, but Drivers' Championship, maybe not so much. Seb continuing to pull away now with a 1.3, 1.4 second gap at the moment, and it seems to be easy pickings for Seb at the current time.
Absolutely, and as we know, Seb does win this race, he will be the new world champion of House of Racing. So
he'll join the Hall of Fame and join the name of Jedro Alonso, also known as Jordan, who was your Season 1 world champion at the same track, with the same 2 commentators as well.
Well, old habits don't die hard for a reason.
Yep. The Alfa Romeo of Jenga Boy may be sneaking down to hunt down Chimp in the Alpine. Once again, ERS active and a much better exit. You know what? He doesn't even need DRS. It's going to be another overtake for Josh. And it seems before the corner is even done, overtake is finalized.
Yeah, very good overtake by the Alfa Romeo. Indeed.
And Shadow looking to try and get closer to Chaldinho. Maybe Zinc can do a bit of teamwork here and back up the McLaren, trying to maximize the constructors' points for Haas. But it seems Chaldinho or Hazy is getting pretty close here. But he's backed off on the ERS. He's got a decent slipstream though. Does lock up a little bit on the fronts, but does a good job. He's got the inside line, but the outside by Zinc is going to get a much better exit. Now continuing through the second sector, the McLaren trying to get a move done here. DRS will be active for the Haas driver as DRS in the rear wing fully open for Chaldinho, and maybe we'll have an opportunity to get past Zinc in the next couple of DRS zones, but it's a very good exit. It seems to be with a higher downforce setup by Zinc in the Haas, and you also have to consider his teammate Shadow in P5, who's also got DRS on the McLaren as well. Yellow flag sector 1, and that seems to be I'm Dom in the Ferrari, who's had another mistake.
Yeah, not looking good for Dom. He needs to pick up that pace if he wants Ferrari to gain more points from Alfa Romeo in the constructors.
Yep, and it seems to be a bit of a back off by the two Hasses as Shadow now switches positions with Zinc, but Chaldinho does a really good job to get into the podium positions of P3. So McLaren now signed to get some more constructors' points, with Omar not pulling his weight, DNFing in the first couple of laps. And it seems Haas playing the team game here, creating a gap between the two drivers, but this gives a better opportunity for the Alfa Romeo of Josh, who is getting closer to Zinc at this current time.
Yeah, Josh on the fresher tyres as well. It's going to help him a lot. Zinc doesn't seem more comfortable as this race has gone on those sets of mediums. Definitely seem like they could be dying off compared to the rest. So
absolutely. DRS once again for Josh, but with a 8/10 gap, and it doesn't seem he'll be able to get anything out of this as we continue through the 10th lap of the Grand Prix as we stand. Chimp P7 also will get DRS, and we have a bit of a DRS train at the moment going all the way to P9. Zinc on the exit of the final corner, trying to get closer to his teammate, but it looks like Shadow will finally have a decent opportunity, to maybe sneak P3 here. He's got a really good slipstream. He's going to go inside line. Down the inside goes the Haas driver. Can he make it stick? Oh, it seems a better exit for Chaldinho, but it seems to be move stuck in stone for the Haas of Shadow, who's now into P3, pretty much switching with his teammate of Zinc. F1 SLK now with a 2.3 second gap, and it seems Seb is really trying to push for that World Drivers' Championship at this current stage. Yep, and RTM Tocci, I think, if I'm not wrong, reset to track, and that will be reviewed by the stewards if he did, and that would most likely will be a penalty, as you're not allowed to reset to track. The Red Bull of Gabby seeming to try and gain a bit more time on Shocker at the moment, but all gaps are starting to extend as the race continues, and a lack of incidents and yellow flags mean that the gap can just keep extending and extending. Wizzy Boy gets a decent exit through the second sector as he goes into the third. DRS on the Aston Martin. He needs to make a couple of moves here. Zinc seems to be, wow, have a look at this. P3, 4 and 5. McLaren and the two Hasses fighting away quite heavy here, but DRS now active on Zinc and Chaldinho. Shadow makes the move into the pit lane.
Yeah, it looked like before Zinc did get a great run on Hazy. Looked like he was going to, well, not attempt to overtake his teammates, and backed off, which a bit, I think, cost him the time to Hazy to get the overtake done completely. So, good lucky from him.
Just making sure not to get in the way of his teammate, making sure not to cause any collisions. Three drivers come into the pit lane of Shadow, Shocker, and Gabby in the Haas, Alfa Romeo, and Red Bull, looking to finally get a pit stop into their strategy. It wouldn't be surprising if they went to the hards to the very end.
So now it's a long
Gabby seems to make a mistake, and Shocker to follow with a mistake as well. It doesn't seem any damage, but does lose the rear on those cold tires. And Zinc currently running in P4, just over a second down on Chaldinho, looking for gaps who are closing up here. It seems the closest couple of drivers here is between Wizzy, Chimp and Jenga, all with DRS, all looking to try and get closer to each other. DRS now on the Aston Martin of Wizzy Boy as he made the move, obviously with people coming into the pit lane, but you have to consider the people on hards and people like Zinc who are on mediums, as well as Chimp. When are they going to make the call to come into the pit lane? Because they still have to box, just like majority of the top 10 here. Everyone below that, apart from maybe Tyrant and I'm Dom, need to come into the pit lane. Chimp stays out, but Zinc does make the move, and that's both Haas drivers getting their strategy out of the way. Down the inside goes Wizzy Boy. He can't get the move stuck. He loses his rear slightly, and it seems Chimp will keep P5. Wizzy's gonna try and fight it, and Wizzy's gonna hit the Alpine's rear, and it's gonna see Alpine lose position in P6, P7, P8. He's lost multiple positions, and that will go to the stewards, and most likely will be a penalty from what I've seen. Unfortunately, just too late on the brakes, and Wizzy Boy will go into P5, but now with the risk of a potential after race penalty.
Yeah, not good for Wizzy Boy at all. And Chimp obviously being the victim of that. It's going to ruin his strategy a lot now.
Yep, absolutely. And Chesney Riz in the Mercedes most likely is going to get DRS here on his teammate. It depends if he's going to be competitive or if they're going to play the team game here and make sure they have a gap with each other. It seems the Ferrari of I'm Dom, obviously being a blue flag here, just fully getting off the track. It seems his AI being in control in that situation. Once again, the top 5 looking pretty bland here with all around 3, 2, 1 second gaps, all because a lack of yellow flag safety cars making it to the point where strategy is the main factor.
Absolutely. And you know, I'm amazed. We would have been about the 5th safety car from last season.
Yeah, true.
So, improvements.
Yeah, obviously we were promised into the start of the season that racing would be closer, cleaner, more competitive, and we were definitely promised on all fronts. And currently the Mercedes going through the second sector. It seems Chesney Riz has gained a bit of time on RTM Tochi, but once again, will they play that team game at the moment? Lee Craig in the Williams coming out of the pit lane now, and more people finishing up their strategies. Majority of the people who are on their medium compounds. Chimp still needs the box and is the driver who's spent the most time on those medium compounds. And Mercedes once again in there. It's kind of hard to track people. This is the long and harder area to commentate when gaps are at its highest and driving is at its lowest. Well, racing more likely.
Yeah, come on lads, throw in a safety car here, we're getting bored.
Someone needs to do a crash gate. Oh, and maybe we will get a crash gate. I'm Dom hits the wall, and it's a safety car. It's commentator's curse.
I wasn't quite serious about it, but you know,
oh my days! It's crash gate, but in reverse.
Absolutely. The safety car now is going to benefit Jenga Boy and Hazy.
Yep, it's Crashgate in reverse here as Seb now needs to think about the fact that majority of the people behind him are going to come into the pit lane, and Ferrari, one's out and one's not going to have the benefit of a safety car strategy here. This has not gone well for Ferrari. F1 SLK does also stay out, just missed out on pit entry. Chaldinho, though, has come on to new mediums, and Jenga Boy is the first person without a penalty on new tyres. So we said it as a joke. It was a simple commentator's curse, and it seems the curse has once again come true.
What can I say? I'm a future teller.
You're a future teller, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
What can I say? I said there'll be a safety car, man. We got a safety car.
Yep, exactly.
A minute after I said it.
Not even, it was like 10 seconds. Alrighty, and now this gives the opportunity for gaps to shorten by a massive margin. Everyone will be inside around 3/10 of each other. Obviously, everyone pretty much P3 below have all come into the pit lane, unless it was hard compounds around the 3-lap age. So now Seb and F1 will come in, and that sees most likely Hazy taking the lead. Obviously Delta could still be a factor here, but shouldn't be too bad. But maybe Seb will still lead. It's going to be quite close here.
Yeah, when you look at the gap to the leader, Seb will still lead just by... SRK could be under threat maybe.
Maybe it's going to be close here. No, it's fine. And it seems the top two are not affected, and it seems the gap that they made at the very... Oh, Tyrant getting a drive-through penalty for speeding under Delta safety car conditions. So unfortunate for the Aston Martin there. But yeah, Seb and F1 SLK will not be affected. They just managed to stay ahead. And it will see majority of this looking pretty simple. Anyway, safety car will bring the action back and closer together. So, lap 16 of 25 is the second safety car of the session. Tyrant
Still
making
better than last year's.
Yeah, true. Tyrant making the bold move to soft compounds. It could work, seeing that safety car will be out for a couple of laps, but we also have to consider that we are on the softest compounds, the C5, C4s, and C3s, so degradation is at its highest.
It's not a cool track, this, and it's definitely a lot of turning, so...
Yeah, surrounded by desert and a bit of sea. Yep, and the current grid as it stands. Would you like to do that for me, Ryan, seeing that I did it Sam did it first time?
Alright, so current grid stands down as Seb in P1, SLK in P2, Hazy P3, Jacob Boy makes his way up into P4, Zinc into P5, Wizzy Boy 6th, RTM Toshi in P7, Chimp in P8, Chesney Reese in P9, Shadow drops down to P10, Gabby finds himself in P11 and Shocker P12, Lee Craig P13 and Tyrant in P14.
Lovely stuff, and that sees Dom, Jono, Omar and Alfie all out of the session, with the bottom three being out in the first 3 laps, and I'm Dom causing a safety car that we are currently under at this current stage. Kinsella says Josh might be able to take the lead since he pitted and Seb hasn't, but now Seb has, so a bit of a late message for me to read.
Yeah. So Seb's car didn't come out. I mean, Josh could have been well in for a win there.
That's very true.
He could have gone to the end on those hards,
Yep.
without a doubt.
Well, it was the Scuderia crash gate, and it looked like it wasn't going to be in Seb's favour, and now it's completely fine.
You reckon Seb's going to do one of those slow restarts again to get those tyres as heated as best as I possibly can?
It could very much happen. You know, it's not out of the window here. Obviously, Seb doesn't want to be too predictable though, so maybe it will be an early getaway this time. We're not 100% sure. Safety car might be in this lap.
If Tyrant catches up quick enough, we might have to wait one more lap for it.
Well, this gives a third opportunity for F1 SLK to maybe get past Seb. It's been a tight little midfield, and then you go to the top and it's been pretty big gaps and margins. Safety car is not in this lap, and so we will have to wait out another lap of warming up the tyres and keeping the overall drivers in between 7 to 5 tenths of each other. But if it isn't in this lap, it's most likely in next, so... Ferrari just making sure to try and keep as much temps into those tyres as possible. F1 SLK doing something similar, as well as the McLaren of Chaldinho, Jenga Boy, everyone trying to get some temperature into their tyres, making sure they don't go cold and have a bad restart when safety car does eventually come in.
So as we saw, some drivers did get a little caught out by Seb's slow restart, because they didn't go until he actually got to the line itself, so... I think they need to prepare themselves for another one of those, I would reckon.
Well, Seb's smart thinking has got him into this position where if he wins this race, he will be world champion, so...
Yeah, it'd be a well-deserved championship as well, as it nearly
Oh,
dominated this whole
absolutely.
season.
He made he made Jordan leave the server.
Hmm.
Rumors are told.
And doing Nico Rosberg.
Win the championship,
Win
leave.
Yeah, win it and dip it.
Yep. So we wait for safety car to come in. The lack of events happening now. It's the boring wait before we get to the exciting start. Fortunately, that is how safety car works. I can't lie though, Spain in real life was so dull, like it. Oh, Jesus Christ!
I fell asleep during half that race.
You did. I was yawning like 5 times. I can't lie. Safety car in this lap, and now we have to wait and see what type of strategy Seb does this time. Is it once again gonna be a big warm-up just before the line and then getting going, or is it gonna be unpredictable and going now, for example? But seems to be around the final corner, and we'll have to just wait and see what the Ferrari does. It's been a bit of a late start for him on a couple of occasions.
Looks like it's going to be one of his another slow
Yep.
restarts then.
And drivers need to make sure they can get some temps in, and it's pulled the trigger now, and Seb has caused the green flag to once again go. F1 SLK doesn't get the exit, I guess, start that he needed. Cialdino P3, but under the attack of Josh in P4, has to back out of it, but it seems to be a better exit for the McLaren that will see Cialdino stay in P3, but to be fair, Hazy does have a penalty, so if Jordan can stay in the proximity of the McLaren, then he will be taking that podium position. F1 SOK has a 3-second time penalty, and he's spun it, and unfortunately, he's fallen down all the way to last place on safety car restart. That sees Seb now leading with not, I guess, as much danger behind him.
Wow, what a safety car restart to say at least. I can tell you was out of breath there. I mean, SRK surprised us still losing the car and also getting a 3-second penalty. This definitely plays into Josh's hands now to drag this championship just a tiny bit longer, but I don't think it's going to be mattering much, obviously, as we know. Seb will be crowned world champion as it stands if he does win this race, so if it Josh could do, it'd be a bridesmaid once again.
Yep, just be best man for the world champion like he did in season 1, and it seems to be a bit of a pattern here. But Jordan obviously won in season 1, but Josh spun it and actually retired in season 1. This time, with 5 laps remaining, it looks like he'll go to the end. Switch back into the inside, looking to go down the inside. A bit of contact going into the first corner. Once again, Hazy keeps position, but Josh is really trying to take position away from the McLaren. This fight is getting very dangerous. Oh, and the rear is lost by the McLaren. Once again, Josh making sure not to get any collision with the drivers, but that was very close. Cialdino Hazy picks up now a 6-second time penalty combined, and
Zinc in the wall.
Oh, and that's Haas of Zinc who's in the wall. It looks like he's lost the front wing. It's not over for him, but will he retire? Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't stop. Wow, oh wow. And Jenga Boy P3 slipstream with ERS, and unfortunately no DRS for 3 laps. It will be back on, if I'm not wrong, next lap or the lap after that. Either way, he's getting decent slipstream, and he keeps getting a really good exit into last corner, keeps fighting going into the first, but it's good defending by Hazy at this current stage.
This moment of time, RTM Toshi had a bit of a spin earlier on, but could see himself for the podium place then.
Yep, exactly. This is very exciting. For the time being, RTM Tochi, as you said, would be in the podium places if the gap stays where it is. Seb gets a very nice lap with a 1:31 1 if I'm not wrong. I could be wrong with that lap time, but either way, the Ferrari, no penalties, no issues, cruising at the moment. 4 laps remaining, including this one. And once again, Hazy stays ahead of the Alfa Romeo. Zink picking up a 3-second time penalty and retiring from the session. That's P14, and no points for Haas from what looked to be a pretty exciting...
safety car.
Oh, yeah, it is.
We're going to have 2 laps.
Oh, my days.
We're going to have 2 laps of racing.
Wow. And, you know, let me do a little story time here. In Formula 2, while I was still commentator, when It's Your Boy Alfie was still driving for Ferrari in F2, there was a safety car that came in on the second last lap, and it was a 1-lap shootout. It's Your Boy Alfie got into the position he needed to be in, and he became Formula 2 world champion.
Well,
it seems here at Saudi Arabia. Sorry, you go.
Seb could well follow that story of yours.
Yeah, maybe. But it seems for the past 2 safety cars, he's been able to get a really good exit here, and plus Hazy has a 6-second time penalty, and Josh has a lot to do if he wants to win this.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, for Josh to win this, in my opinion, he needs Hazy to do a send on Seb.
Oh, for sure,
and for the worst, them to collide, that's what Josh realistically needs.
Yeah.
But he could do on merits. He's had the pace to do it.
It seems Saudi Arabia is the place of the Hall of Fame where champions are made. And it's looking like Seb will join Jordan in Formula 1 World Champions. And it's, well...
And we'll be the last world champion as well on F122 in House of Racing.
That's very true. I'm going to be pre-ordering it this week because I forgot to.
Yeah, I've copped mine already.
Yep.
I'm ready to go for it.
Yep. I've been saving for other things, but now my money is focused on the game. So, there are 4 laps including this one. Currently going through the second sector, and Seb leads. He's led this entire race, apart from just after Lights Out, where he started P2. But right now, Seb has been pretty dominant over the race so far, and it's been a champion's drive, and absolutely deserves the championship if he wins here today. Josh is the first man to have the opportunity of winning it, but it is a long shot away. He needs to get past Hazy and then immediately get on the attack to Seb. It is a bit of a drive to get it done. It seems everywhere that Seb has been, he's always been 1 step ahead of Josh. You look at Monaco, the performance he had there. I mean, all tracks, Seb has really been a champion in the making.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, once again, we let drivers go left and right, weaving, trying to get some temperatures in. We've been here before. And, yeah, now we just slowly wait for safety car to come in.
Wow, we are going to have a 2-lap shootout. This is going to be amazing.
Oh yeah, a 2-lap shootout. Just what you love to see in the Middle Eastern country of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It's not Wild West anymore, it's welcome to the Wild East.
I'm pretty sure Seb wins this. He's got the most wins in the season, eh? I'm pretty sure.
I do a little, like, 10-second champion video, so I'll be able to have a look at the stats once I start making that.
I'm going to look at season 2, Jordan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 wins for Jordan in season 1. That means Seb, if he wins this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he will have more wins than Jordan would in last season.
A record breaker in the making, a world champion in the making. It's most likely safety car is in this lap. Imagine it isn't, and we go to a 1 lap shootout.
That
The
would be
scenes.
absolutely mental.
But it's looking like a 2 lap shootout, which is still, if not equal, exciting. Once again, if Josh wants to win this, most likely out of the picture. A bit of work to do. So is safety car in this lap? Yes, it is. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we go to a 2 lap Wild East shootout. I've been here before. I've said the same things before. Ladies and gentlemen, a Ferrari leads. A McLaren in second. F1 SLK missing out now in P9. When will the Ferrari go? When will we go to green flag racing for 2 laps left here in House of Racing, here in Saudi Arabia? We're waiting for him to go 145 kilometers. He's gaining, and it's gone. He's pulled the trigger, and Ferrari is off, and it's green flag running. Hazy does get a decent getaway, but nothing compared to what Seb pulled. RTM Tochi gets past Josh. Josh is going to get the switchback, though, and it's going to be P3 once again secured for Josh, but it seems that's going to be a delay getting past Hazy, if at all getting past Hazy. Once again, this 2 lap shootout seems to be pretty similar at the front of the pack. Anything you can add?
Oh.
I put you on the spot here.
Yeah, you cut off for me there, sorry.
Oh, I said anything you can add, Ryan.
Oh, yeah, well, it was a great start by Toshi, but he just unfortunately just couldn't get past Josh. I think Josh was just got himself a little bit more traction after turn 2. Seb, good getaway yet again, as per usual, and well, there's nothing else really much to say.
Yeah, this 2 lap shootout has once again gone in the Ferrari's way, and it's just been, what, 3 safety cars now in every single way. Seb has been able to get away perfectly and get a 5, 6, 10th gap straight away. Tyrant makes a mistake through it, and unfortunately will lose positions down to last place, which is only P13. Started with 18, there's only 13, and around the final corner, the penultimate lap comes to an end, and Seb will come across the line to start the final lap of the race. Hazy won't really be able to change the results, and Josh is too far out to really make a move on Seb. It's already pretty much in the, I guess, gravings of the trophy to be made a world champion.
Absolutely. I mean, we've still got quarter of a lap to go, and
and there still seems to be a bit of fighting happening in the midfield, and it seems to be between Shadow, Gabby, and F1 SLK, who makes it up into P7. Ooh!
Tochi gets himself a 3-second penalty.
Yeah, and Gabby goes off the track.
But I think they'll still put him into P3, so the Merc still gave himself the podium.
Oh, yellow flag, and that seems to be once again Tyrant making a mistake there. May have to DNF, but it is last lap, so he may just cruise to the end. But I think with all the fighting unfolding, there is a champion in the making, and it's been happening over this entire season. He's dominated this race. He's led every single lap, and it looks like he's going to get fastest lap this lap. On the last lap, the Ferrari has nailed everything out of the park. Seb coming around the final corner into the braking zone, the Scuderia Ferrari. Finally, Ferrari fans can be with joy. Seb is gonna see the checkered flag. Seb is world champion.
Congratulations to Seb, as he is now the new House of Racing Formula 1 world champion. And I think you can tell he's going to be a bit ecstatic over that one.
Yep. And that will see Josh with the penalty applied with Hazy make it into P2 with Chimp sneaking it into P3 on the podium. RTM Tochi just missing out by 6/10, not big margins. Shadow P5 in the Haas. P6 Childinho, also known as Haiti, unfortunately having that penalty screw him over. P7, Chesney Riz, F2 driver in the Ferrari, decent result there. P8, unfortunately, who took provisional pole, it's F1 SLK in the Alpha Tauri. P9, Lee Craig. P10 in the Alfa Romeo, Shocker. P11, Gabby, falling down multiple positions at the end of it all. P11, P12, Wizzy Boy, as he continues to do donuts. So does, look at Aston Martin doing donuts, celebrating as a team. None of them are getting points, but at least they're doing their own celebrations. And it is Wizzy Boy and
Tyrant.
Tyrant.
Could save that to last race of the season in Brazil. But thank you for the show, boys.
Yep, cheers. And Tyrant eventually, oh, he's not done donut across the line. And you know what, Wizzy Boy's not done here. Oh no, it is Tyrant who's still gone, but Aston Martin celebrating for Seb. You know, they're gonna get blue flagged by the Ferrari. Oh, there you go. Thank you, gents, for the show. And there you are. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and a new champion for Season 2 finally crowned once again at Saudi Arabia, following the same road that Jordan took, but with better statistics, better racing, more competitive. It was, yeah, a better season.
Really fantastic season, indeed.
And
enjoy commentating it, but still got one more race to go in the after.
Indeed, I won't be there next week, but I'm sure if you can make time, Ryan, you will be.
I'm pretty sure I will.
There you go, and lifting the World Drivers' Championship trophy. It actually does look like it, to be fair. And spraying that bubbly, spraying the champagne.
Fan.
Spraying the champagne. The Scuderia Ferrari on top, world champion here in Saudi Arabia.
Well, there you has it. There's your entire season wrapped up for you then, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, there you go. So, your top three: Seb, who is now world champion of the Formula 1 division, Jenga Boy, P2, and P3, Chimp in the Alpine. But I'm sure there'll be a decent amount of FIA reports coming our way.
It's definitely going to be a lot. Because remember, Chip had that incident with what was it? It was Wizzy Boy, but hopefully that's going to matter nowadays. Now, with Wizzy coming down to P12.
Yeah. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and people of the internet, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to check out Friday for the final race in F2, and where me and K1 fight for the World Constructors Championship, because Alpine are going to be on top. I promise you, it's going to happen. We're putting multiple hours in. Anyway,
well, I'd definitely like to see you there when I'm doing comms for it.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. And yeah, see you next time.